Humans have always wondered what lies beyond the sky and in space. The idea of space exploration is a fairly new concept to the world. Only beginning in the 1950s, astronomers have stated that we have only explored an estimated 4% of space. However, over the last 60 years, the combined efforts of the space programs of many countries around the world have discovered more than we thought we could ever know. Contributions from countries such as Russia and the United States of America have assisted in the great understanding of space we have today. The history of the space program has helped us to explore new frontiers, encounter new challenges, and exchange new information.
Russia was the first country to thoroughly begin researching space. The Sputnik was the first major event in the history of space exploration. Launched by the Soviet Union in 1957, this satellite was 23 inches in diameter and weighed about 183 pounds. The satellite had an almost spherical radiation pattern. This allowed the satellite signal to project in all directions at an equal power.
CBS Television presents a special report on Sputnik 1, the Soviet space satellite. Douglas Edwards reporting.
Until 2 days ago, that sound had never been heard on this earth. Suddenly, it has become as much a part of 20th century life as the whir of your vacuum cleaner. It's a report from man's farthest frontier, the radio signal transmitted by the Soviet Sputnik, the first man-made satellite as it passed over New York earlier today.
The Sputnik was launched on April 4th, 1957, from Gagarin's start. The satellite was controlled by a 5-step voltage generator while it orbited the Earth at an altitude of 359 miles. The Sputnik's main objective while orbiting the Earth was to encounter space and gain a further knowledge of the density of the upper atmosphere. It also had a major unintended purpose, being that it sparked the revolution of the curiosity in space exploration. The Sputnik was also the catalyst of the great space race between the US and Russia.
After gaining an in-depth understanding of the atmosphere of space, astronomers' curiosity continued to grow. They wanted to send human life into the great vacuum of space. The first flight to be occupied by a human being was the USSR spacecraft Kadir, used for the Vostok 1 mission, which was launched on April 12, 1961. The cosmonaut to man this mission was Yuri Gagarin. This made him the first man in space. The US launched their own astronaut, Alan Shepard, shortly after on May 5, 1961. These missions helped to show that people could survive in the vacuum of space, which prompted missions of a longer duration.
Why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too.
The progress made by the space program of his time sparked President Kennedy to soon after challenge the country to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. This astounded America and the world. The space race was in full swing. This promise seemed like an impossible jump in the space race. At this point, all focus was on the moon. Russia and the US were pressed to be the first to experience the breathtaking view of the Earth from the moon.
Russia made the first move in this area by landing the Luna 9 on the moon. The American ship, Surveyor 1, accomplished the same goal less than 4 hours after. Russia continued to make steady progress, launching the Zond 5, a spacecraft which would go to orbit the moon. The US took this one step farther. However, and in the Apollo 8 mission, sent men to orbit the moon along with the spacecraft. The next step was a daring one. It was to land a man on the moon. Several attempts were taken to successfully land on the moon. Spacecrafts also orbited the moon to take pictures and send them back to Earth. Many of these missions were successful, and astronomers were able to gain knowledge of the moon that they could not attain before this. However, this would seem like nothing to what the world was about to achieve. On July 16, 1969, the United States launched the Apollo 11, which was the first manned mission to land on the moon. Its crew consisted of Neil A. Armstrong, Michael Collins, and Edwin Buzz Aldrin. Their mission was active for 8 days, 3 hours, and 18 minutes.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
These famous words were uttered by Neil Armstrong, who became the first man to set foot on the moon. His words were so powerful that they became one of the most quotable lines to this day, and still have a lasting impact on the American society. The three men proceeded to accomplish their mission. They brought back lunar samples, allowing scientists to gain new information about the moon. This mission showed the world that nothing was impossible.
Apollo 13 was also another very influential mission in the history of space exploration. Shortly after the launch on April 11, 1970, the crew aboard, consisting of James Lovell, John Swigert, and Fred Hayes, faced many issues. These consisted of the explosion of an oxygen tank, loss of power and heating, as well as a shortage of water and the lack of releasing carbon dioxide. Due to these issues, the quote, "Houston, we have a problem," was first said by Swigert.
Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Yes. Houston, we've had a problem. We've had a main B bus undervolt.
Roger, main B undervolt. Okay, stand by, 13. We're looking at it.
The crew aborted their main mission of landing on the moon and managed to return to Earth safely on April 17th. The events of this mission were so dramatic that it was made into a Hollywood film. The launch of the space station Mir in 1986 was the next of major events in the history of the exploration of space. This station was built and launched by Russia. It had constant human presence for 3,644 days, which remained the record until October 23, 2010, when it was passed by the International Space Station. However, the Mir only remained in orbit until March of 2001, when it fell out of orbit.
The next major event in history of space exploration was the launching of the International Space Station. It consists of a crew of 6 international members who conduct research while in space. Currently, 17 countries have sent astronauts into the ISS. The US has sent the most, with 141. This space station has been in orbit around the Earth for more than 6,000 days. It moves about 5 miles per second and can orbit the Earth in less than 90 minutes. The International Space Station is powered by solar panels that take an acre of space. The space station comes up just a mere 3 feet short of the length of a football field at 357 feet.
One of the most recent explorations of space was the photographing of Pluto. This spacecraft, the New Horizons, was launched on January 19, 2006. To date, New Horizon holds the record for the fastest speed at which a spacecraft was launched. It just arrived on July 14, 2015. It sent pictures back to Earth as it flew by the dwarf planet. These pictures will help us understand Pluto in deeper detail and gain a better understanding of it. Space exploration has been a very vast area of intrigue and interest. It evolved from exploring just beyond Earth's atmosphere to going to the ends of our solar system and beyond. Through this study, we have been able to explore many new frontiers and ideas, encounter new successes and challenges, and exchange information that has helped and will continue to help the world to grow into the future.